The biggest names in sports are all on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
We thank you so much for being with us here on Israel Sports Radio.
Thanks a lot. And then we also have a real interesting camp this past year where we had an all-girls baseball team. We're trying to give the girls an opportunity to play, and we got some of the best baseball players from around the world, some of the best young girls that came here. And actually, we had a knuckleballer named Chelsea Baker who ended up getting a lot of play, who learned her knuckleball from Joe Necro and ended up pitching 2 no-hitters down in Florida.
And wow.
She was part of our camp. She came there for a week. So that's one of the nice things we got. And then the other thing that we have is we do church groups, youth groups, college groups. They come to the camp for leadership training. We have a ropes course, which they utilize, and it's on a lakeside recreation area in the beautiful Berkshire Hills in Western Mass. So that's what we're doing at the Sports Academy. Tournaments are great. The kids that come there to use the camp, they love the lakeside recreation area, and then there's excellent shopping in the Berkshires. It's a destination resort in the summertime. So it's worked out pretty well. I'm real happy with the way it's been going.
So that's the Dan Duquette Sports Academy, and again, it's www.duquettesports.com, right?
Right, that's right, and you can go there. You can read about all our programs. We just posted our tournament offerings for 2011. Our first big tournament is over the Memorial Day weekend, which is the end of May, and then the tournaments go from there until the middle of September.
Now let me ask you this, because obviously Sports Academy and baseball and teaching baseball, that was one of the things. I think it's one of the harder sports to teach, which I kind of credit to what may have, maybe not have gained the Israeli, forget the Anglo population, but the true Israeli population. Do you think it's one of those things where, because the football league, a guy's got a football, you can say go. My point is that someone's carrying a ball, go tackle him. But when you say go lay down a sacrifice bunt and move the runner over, it's a whole different ball game.
Well, you're right. Football is a little bit easier to learn. You don't need the fine motor skills in some other sports that you need to utilize in baseball to have good control as a pitcher, be able to throw the ball where you want to, or to hit the ball effectively, or to even catch it consistently. So you're right. It does take a little bit more time to learn because of the finer skill development that needs to happen. And I think one of the things that baseball can do is that they can make baseball fun for the young kids while they're learning. And then Ted Williams, the great 400 hitter, the last 400 hitter, Yep. He always thought that the batter should get an advantage. He thought that kids got discouraged because they didn't have a lot of success with hitting. And he thought that the batter should have 4 strikes and that the bat should be bigger. And so they are getting bigger now, and kids can hit the ball a little bit more easier and more effectively with the technology, the aluminum bats that they have. So it's a little bit easier. But I think if you make baseball fun, it can sustain itself with young people all around the globe.
It's hard to imagine that Ted Williams would think the batter was at a disadvantage, right? I mean, I'll never forget the All-Star game when he was asking, I believe it was Tony Gwynn and Mark McGuire, do you smell the wood burning sometimes when you hit the ball? And it was such a great moment, and to think that he thought there was a disadvantage. I guess he probably also thought maybe there was a disadvantage in fly fishing as well. So,
he was so good at everything.
Exactly. Let me ask you.
He wanted the advantage over any pitcher. Right?
Hey, I was talking to somebody the other day about how you forget that he could have sat out very easily, but at those last games, but he wanted that 400 and he wanted it legit. So
he went out and got a bunch of hits his last game.
That's right.
Doubleheader.
That's right. Let me ask you, as a GM, like some of the questions that we are getting, what is the hardest thing? Because GM, you're running the entire operation. You have to, hire, fire, sign, trade. is there any decision that just sticks out that you still look back and say, gosh, I just can't believe I let that go, or I can't believe that went a certain way?
Well, over the course of your career, you make some good choices, and you still make some choices that aren't really good. Speaking of Ted Williams, he used to call me up, and he used to give me a hard time for trading away Aaron Seeley. He used to say, you don't trade away a guy that's got a good down curveball like that. For crying out loud, they're too hard to hit, and those guys are too hard to find. So that's, I think that was one of them. I traded Aaron Seeley to Texas. I got back, I think, Jim Leyritz, who helped us with his hitting. He's a good professional hitter.
That's right.
But he didn't have the value that Aaron Seeley had. So, I think that was one. There were some others, but my biggest regret is that I didn't get to stay with the Red Sox and be in the organization when we were able to fulfill our ultimate goal of winning the World Series championship. We gave them a good foundation to do it, but I think my biggest regret was not being there when they actually.
Well, I mean, we had the discussion today. We have a bunch of kids that are interning for us, and a few of them are from the Boston area. And it's funny because even, at the young age of 18, someone were like, that's really Dan Duquette's ring. That's his ring. I said, you look at Ramirez, and you look at Ramirez, and you look at Wakefield, and they start listing off the players. And my broadcast partner, who's not here right now, but he agrees completely. He says, I can't wait because that's his ring. So you got lots of support here in Israel. I can tell you that.
I appreciate that. And you know what? The thing that really impressed me about the fans in Israel is that the fans that were into baseball, that did follow it, they were very passionate, and they really knew the game. They understood the game. They took the time to study and learn about the game, and that really impressed me about the Israel fans.
Right. Now, let me ask you, because I guess the second most popular question whenever your name is mentioned has to do with Roger Clemens. And, with all that's going on with him now, is this, a classic American tragedy, or is this just you knew this and this is vindication, or is it a strange situation for you to be in at this point?
Well, Roger Clemens' rise and the sustaining of his career, and then the recent revelations that came out in the Mitchell report and when he testified in Congress. That to me was that was really a Greek tragedy.
Right.
That was a hero, a titan who fell, and I don't think anybody wanted to see that. But I saw signs that could happen, and frankly, I was disappointed that it happened, but I wasn't surprised that it happened.
Right.
And a lot of times, your best traits end up also being, your worst enemies. And in Roger's case, he's a terrific competitor. He's very stubborn, and that served him well over most of his career. But I think towards the end of his career, it's been painful for him.
Right. So, have you ever been back to Israel since the baseball league left, or?
I came back to Israel in August of 2008. We were trying to put together a touring team and play some games in Gezer and also at Petah Tikva at the Baptist Village.
Right.
So my last trip back to Israel was in the summer of 2008. I hope to get back there. I really enjoyed Israel, and I was real impressed with the project. I was disappointed that we couldn't get the funding we needed, but one of the shining lights of the project was that movie Holy Land Hardball, and I would recommend that to anybody that is still interested in baseball in Israel.
I think I agree 100%.
That movie.
I agree.
I mean, that made the whole project real, and it showed how all these baseball players came to Israel from different parts of the world. I mean, we had players there from 10 or 12 countries, and they tried to make a go of it, and they were legit professional players. And putting the cultures together and seeing the magic that happened and having a lot of it captured on film in a human way, I think that tells a really good story. And I think it also gives hope for baseball in Israel in the future. I think that there's enough people around the world and in Israel that want to see sports continue in Israel as a diversion for the people. I think you'll see some more of that.
I think that I interviewed Brett Rapkin, who was one of the producers and director of the film. I personally think one of the best lines is your line where in Boston it was 86 years, and in Israel it's over 5,000. So it's so true, and I do a lot with the Israel Football League, and it's in its infancy here. 4 years and building and growing. And look, I mean, Israel Sports Radio, we just came on air a few weeks ago, and we've kind of created a new culture. I mean, I know that your history and your feelings towards the media as far as sports talk radio was not always the best of relationships, but it's one of those things. We've created this Anglo community that really wants to talk sports and wants to talk American sports, and that I think it's great with all these new initiatives here.
Yeah, well, I love to talk sports, and I'll be happy to talk sports with you guys periodically.
Great. Well, we really appreciate your time, and best of luck. And again, it's the Dan Duquette Sports Academy at www.duquettesports.com. Dan Duquette, we thank you so much for being with us here on Israel Sports Radio.
Thanks a lot.
Great.
Look forward to talking to you.
Thanks a lot, Dan.